Hello friends, welcome to the part 2 of our planets in astrology videos. Now we will talk about the planets from Saturn to Pluto. We will talk about Saturn, north node of moon, Rahu, that is south node of moon, Ketu, and Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So let's get started. So as in our earlier video we talk about the element of the planet, in this video also we will talk about the elements which are connected to the planets. There are four elements: earth, air, water, and ether, and all the planets get related to these elements. Then we will also talk about the relationship, like each and every planet represents certain relationship of your life. Like sun represents father, moon represents mother, Jupiter represents children and also the husband for a wife, and Venus represents the wife for a person. And similarly we will see that how the remaining planets represents which relationship, and we will talk about the nature of the planets, like whether these planets are say they either they represents like sun, it is the ruler, so it is a very courageous planet, a confident planet, and Mars represents the commander, so it represents our courage, our willpower, our ability to fight. And the body parts also, like in earlier we talk about, like the Mercury represents our skin, Jupiter represents our liver. So we will see which planet represents what body part and some specialty which is related to that planet. And we will also talk about the behavior of planets in some zodiac signs. So our first planet is Saturn. See, Saturn is the servant among the planets. So sun was the king, moon was the queen, Mars was the military commander, and Jupiter was the teacher or the preceptor. Venus was the minister, and now Saturn, it represents the servants. Saturn is an airy planet, and it represents our career. It represents like in which profession we will be engaged in, and it also represents the obligations on an individuals. It represents law. To become a lawyer, a person, the 10th house of the person needs to be connected with Jupiter and Saturn, and even Mars also for rising very high in the field of law. And it also represents the patience of a person, how much patient a person is, the maturity, how much a mature a person is, how much mature one's thoughts are. And in some systems of astrology, a very good Saturn, a very well placed Saturn also represents that happiness in life, that a person will be happy and satisfied in his life. And it represents the elder people, the old people, wise people in your family. And among the body parts, it represents the muscles. And one thing with this Saturn is that Saturn is a very sadistic form of sadistic planet. It represents depression. So if Saturn afflicts moon, then it is a sign for depression, very sad person. And so these are some negative sides of Saturn. But on the positive side of Saturn, it represents a very hard working person, a person who will work for hours to achieve his aim. And Saturn, it is debilitated or weak in the sign Aries, and it is exalted in the sign Libra, and it rules the sign of Capricorn and Aquarius. In some systems of astrology, like Western astrology, some believe that Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, but there are various opinions, so people can themselves read and see. Now, our next sign. It is the north node of moon. In the Vedic astrology, it is called as Rahu, and in Western astrology, it is just referred as north node. So it represents the army among the planets. So Mars is the commander, and north node and south node are the army, and it is an airy planet. The north node of the moons come in play during the eclipse, like during lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. The sun is covered by a like a black shadow of moon. So that black shadow is the north node of the moon, which is also known as Rahu, and it represents our obsession. It represents that what things our people are they are obsessed with. It can be wealth, it can be children, relationships, career. So it generally represents our obsessions and also represents the challenges to overcome. Like every person faces some challenges. Some face challenges with respect to family, and some face challenges in profession, some face challenges in relationship. So wherever that north node is placed, it represents that some challenges from that house will come to you, and you have to deal with them. And and it also represents various psychological disorders, psychological problems. Like if moon is connected, moon is the significator of mind. a, a weak mind generally represents like that the person will face psychological disorders. And north node of moon, it also represents foreign lands. So if it gets connected to the 10th house, the carrier, then a person may work in an MNC or work in foreign lands. And it also represents our fears, like of which things we are fearful of. And in among relationship, it represents our grandfather, maternal grandfather, paternal grandfather. And among the diseases, it represents cancers like the throat cancer or blood cancer. Any if the moon, if any planet or moon represents blood, if it is afflicted by north node, then it represents blood cancer. Similarly, sun afflicted by north node represents bone cancer. So different planets and sign which get connected with north node, and there is certain combination is occurring, then it may signifies that the person may suffer from cancer. Next planet is the south node. Together with north node, both of these two represents the army among the planets. And the south node of the moon, it represents the violence. It is a very violent planet. Among all the planets, among all the 12 planets, the most violent planet is the south node of the moon. But at the same time, it represents spirituality. Also, it represents introvert people, hatred, envy. And on the relationship side, it represents our grandmother, like maternal grandmother, paternal grandmother. And it may also give mysterious diseases. Like coronavirus was a very mysterious disease, like suddenly it occurred and many people died. So Ketu, the south node, represents wherever it is placed in that house, the body part connected to that house, you may get some mysterious disease related to that house. But at the same time, it also represents courage also. See, the when the courage given by south node is means that the courage of a person to go and kill another people. So it, so in that way, it is a very violent planet. Our next planet is Uranus. See, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, these are the extraterrestrial planets or the outer planets. These planets come after Saturn. So Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are very much used in Western astrology. And I will share in this video the various perspective, both the western and the eastern astrology perspective on these planets. See, Uranus is the planet of innovation, sudden changes, and it also rules the sign of Aquarius, and it represents electricity, innovation. See, if Uranus is connected to the 10th house, a person may also become an astrologer also, but he may also work in some field related to electricity, like he may work in a power station, or he may be an engineer, or anything related to electricity. And Uranus loves originality. It loves new ideas. It loves original ideas, and it doesn't likes tradition and individuality. And it is a very like a people who want to. It is a planet who wants to work for the people, who want to bring original ideas for the society. Like in the sign Aquarius, the symbol of the sign Aquarius is a person holding a pot, and a water is coming out of that pot. Similarly, the Uranus is a very charitable planet. It loves charity. It wants to work for the society, and it wants to help other people. And one thing is also there, that Uranus is a very slow moving planet, so many generations may have the Uranus in the same sign. So it also represents like change in technology. Like after a few generations, the technology used by the people get changed. Like in our earlier generations, TV was not there, internet was not there. Similarly, in our future generations, new tech will come. So it represents technological changes in the society. Now, our next planet is Neptune. In Western astrology, Neptune rules the sign of Pisces, and it is a very like a psychological planet. Neptune, it inspires people, but it also creates illusions and fantasy. A well placed Neptune connected with good planets, say Jupiter, also represents intuition, that a person will have a very developed intuition. But at the same time, a weak Neptune may give a very illusionary, like a person may be lost in his own illusion. They may be lost in their own fantasies. So you have to see that this planet of imagination, if it is good, it may give you the ability to write novels like the Harry Potter. But if it is afflicted, the person may get lost in his own fantasy world. And there are also like the other things connected with Neptune. Like it also represents the spiritual enlightenment, like when the person finally realizes God. So that thing is also represented by Neptune. Now our next planet is Pluto. It is the farthest planet from the sun, and it represents the dark side of the universe. It represents the things which are hidden. It represents birth, death, power struggles, revolutions. Pluto is the slowest moving planet. So when Pluto goes in a certain sign, then revolutions take place, like French Revolution, Bolshevik Revolution, and other revolutions, Industrial Revolution. All these revolutions are represented, and the power struggles are represented by Pluto. And a well placed Pluto signifies that a person will leave a legacy behind him, like, say, Einstein. Albert Einstein, he left a legacy, his own legacy, in the fields of physics. So, and it also represents like birth and death. So some people say that what is the purpose of my birth, what I have to achieve. So some fields of astrology, people use Pluto to find out like the purpose of birth and other things of life. So thank you for watching this video. Do like this video and do mention in the comments your own experience with the planets. Thank you.